And welcome back. This is Adolfo Castellano, Church of the Third Eye. And today's topic, with my beautiful, attractive wife, we're going to talk about health and fitness, what it means to us. And Trisha, how long have we been working out together, off and on?
I'm going to say 22 years about.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we were what, in our early 30s?
Oh, yeah. Mid 30s for me. You're a little younger.
Well, that's true. When we first met, I really was attracted to Trisha, and I was working at a gym and I was doing personal training. And I'm like, hey, how'd you like to work out sometime? That was kind of how it all started. And, she's always been pretty fit, and I'll let her tell you more about that with her gymnast background. But we both realized early on in our relationship that fitness was important to us.
Yeah.
What would you say, Trish, has been the best part of your fitness journey leading up to now?
Well, I started very young as a gymnast, which really set me on a course of loving fitness. It was very much teaching me discipline, which I have carried into every aspect of my life. But then when I met this wonderful man who loved fitness, that really was a great base of a relationship for us because, if you're not doing the things you love together, you're really starting to grow apart. So that's one thing we definitely love to do together. He stole a kiss, taking me to the gym, and the journey started from there. But it was very sweet. My favorite part about fitness is that it makes me feel good. It makes me feel happy. It makes me feel good. I feel confident in what I'm wearing, how I look, and I don't know. Just every day that I get up and I do my workout or I go and I get some exercise, my whole day is better. I just have a euphoric energy instead of feeling like I'm dragging. So for me, it's very important. And how about you, honey?
Well, so I'm a self-proclaimed fat kid who loves cake. And what that simply means is I've grown up, my first addiction was probably food and sugar. So, growing up the oldest of 6 children in a house, the food would get made and it would be devoured. And for me, I realized that my weight has fluctuated I'd say 50 pounds. From 18 to 35, my weight has gone anywhere from 170 to 250 pounds, so actually closer to 80 pounds. Not doing math right now, but when I got in recovery, and a few years after when I met Trisha, I really started to hone in on my nutrition and dieting, although I was smoking cigarettes at the time, but that's a whole other topic. It just became a part of my lifestyle, my everyday lifestyle. And so food affects mood, and as I've gotten older, and in my 30s, 40s, 50s now, I kind of had a bottom where I hit a weight of 230 pounds, albeit I was exercising, but my diet was still eat what you want, you work out, you deserve it, you can eat whatever you want, right? We go out to dinner a lot.
This. Yep.
I carried a large amount of fat in my midsection. And up until recently, I was dealing with bouts of hypertension. So the long story short, guys, is I decided that I didn't want to be on medicine. And I've been having some digestion issues. And so I changed my diet. And I actually got help with a nutritionist. And I'll talk more about that. But for Trish, how would you say, aging together and having fitness as the driving force in terms of feeling good and feeling young, how's that enabled you to feel youthful and to keep your vanity?
Well, I'll always be a little bit vain, absolutely. Again, it's the euphoric feeling that I get every time I go. It's knowing my body. It's interesting because I feel like because I've been fit my whole life, or to some extent, except for, up and down fat after babies, etc. But your body. So when my body's off, I can feel it immediately. I know my body so well because I'm in touch with it and because I exercise with it every day that I know when there's something amiss or something that needs to be addressed with it. Whereas I know a lot of people, if you're sitting there and you're 40, 50 pounds overweight, and that you're not comfortable. Like, I don't see how you could be comfortable, or you're getting so used to being comfortable. Like a frog you put in, you ever, they say if you put a frog in water and then start to boil it, it won't hop out because it doesn't realize the water's boiling. That's kind of like it is with fitness. If you don't take care of your fitness, you're like a frog in water. You're just going to get used to the bad feelings until it's, going to be such a large endeavor for you to get back to where you need to go. If you can start by being, somewhat fit, and then just adding to that, it makes it a lot easier as you get older, especially because, listen, I'm 58 now. When I was younger, it was real easy to go to the gym every day, every morning, get up at 5, go to the gym before work, do whatever I needed to do, stretch, be flexible, all these things. As you get older, it's more challenging. But if I was in a position worse than I am now, it would be worse. It would be harder. I can still do it. And hopefully into my 80s, that's still going to be the case. And have you found the same thing, Adolfo, that it's easier because you've already established the pattern?
It's gotten easier. It's gotten, for me, as you know, because you've seen me fluctuate from being really in shape when we first started dating and when we got married. Then you got pregnant. Then I got pregnant too. We got pregnant together. I was like, then we quit smoking cigarettes 16 years ago. So I woke up in my 40s and you had started menopause, which we'll get to in a moment, which was a whole thing that neither of us understood, but that's a real thing that couples go through as you get older. And we went through it together and learned a whole lot about hormones and just things in general. And that really helped our relationship because instead of growing apart, we grew together. And then here we are in our 50s, right? We've never been 50 something before. I'm 56. Trish had mentioned she's 58. This is all new territory for us. So the one thing was the most important thing that had to get fixed for me was how I eat in my relationship with food. And that's the biggest pivot I've made. I've always lifted weights and strong, luckily not really being injured. But the biggest shift for me was changing my diet, getting rid of sugar, not eating processed food. I have a high protein diet with high fat, and I love it. I eat yogurt and blueberries as much as I want with organic honey. And, our food bill is one of our most expensive, costs, and it's worth every penny because what I spend in food, I'm not spending on prescriptions at the doctor's. Would you say that's pretty much the case?
That is the case. And as a matter of fact, even going through menopause, which, of course, I thought it was cancer. I didn't know what was happening. I thought I was dying because I had no experience with it. But once I started exercising and actually lifting heavier weights, the mental fog cleared, and it was the most amazing thing. So there's definitely a body-brain connection that happens. There's an intelligence that your body has if you take care of it that is beyond what you can just conjure up in your mind alone. And just like Adolfo was talking about, the food connection is huge too. I've never had a problem with food. For me, food was always sustenance, very little like, oh God, I was never a foodie. I was never like, oh my God, even though I like food, it was never a thing for me. So for him, I can see it as, it was the way he was raised. It was the way that he was fed. It was the comfort. It was all the things that, over time, maybe I could see it a little in myself, but I didn't have that issue. But it can be a huge issue for a lot of people. And it's amazing when you change. It's amazing when you find the ways and means of changing and growing as a human to be able to overcome these things and start a new cycle. And the thing I've always liked is that you don't have to do it all at once. You can take baby steps, right? You didn't just quit every bit of sugar all at once. No way. You have to start with one thing at a time. You know what I mean? You can't do it all at once. Just like in our addiction, we quit the hard drugs and alcohol, right? But did we smoke for a while? You betcha. We were having cigarettes for a few years before we decided to get rid of that too. And then when we did, we were like, let's just get fat. Who cares? Yeah, because it's more important that we can breathe than we eat right. And then after that, we addressed the diet. And that was a long time ago. So we've been doing this for a minute. And what do you think the biggest exercising things that you like to do are, Adolfo? What's the most fun for you?
Well, I like to lift weights, and my coach, what I learned is that everything I knew prior to this decade of age didn't matter. I had to learn to start eating for my age. I had to start lifting weights for my age. And so I was playing it safe in the gym where I was doing like intermediate weights. I wasn't really focusing on my maximum push or pull. And then the recommendation was to lift heavier.
Can I interject for a minute? So, and I think that it's important too to realize that we don't know everything, and that if you have a closed mind, it's like an umbrella. Nothing can get in if it's closed, right? You need to have an open mind and be willing to learn new things because things change constantly. Hormones, for one thing, through menopause, through menopause, getting older. Every 7 years, I was told by my allergist when I was like 18, your hormones change. So it's important to have an open mind and listen to people who know better. And that's a big thing for some people. Some people are just not willing to learn. But if you are, I'm telling you, it's just a game changer.
When we go out to dinner or we're with friends in a social setting, people want to compliment us on how well we look and God, it must take so much discipline. But the truth is, it feels good to look good and feel good. I don't miss the lethargic feeling. Like the biggest change for me anyway, as a foodie, was the difference between being full and being stuffed. Like overeating, like eating past like where I'm full. And that made a huge difference because when I'm full, I just stop. You know, when there's like my body is adjusted now to where it's like in the foods that I eat, they're so nutritious that when I eat, then my body's getting the nutrition and I'm full. And that's the difference between your processed foods and, you know, foods that lack nutrition, food-like products, which will get me started on a whole other rant. But, you know, if it's got a label on it, it's probably not good for you.
It's funny because I had a friend of mine told me they ate 4 Pop-Tarts on the way to work. And I'm like, but they were still hungry. I'm like, that's because you had literally 0 nutritional value.
At 600 calories a Pop-Tart.
Yeah. It's like eating cardboard. There's nothing in there that your body's going to be like, yes, I'm full. Thank you. That's great. And I think that is true with a lot of foods. If it has a label, it's probably not good for you. If it has ingredients that you can't understand,
or read,
it's probably not something you should be eating. And again, this is where you want to learn about nutrition. You don't want to just go up and down the aisles and like, oh, I want Cheerios. Oh, I want this. No, you better get some education about it. If you want to be healthy, if you want to feel good, if you want to grow, those are important things to be aware of. And a lot of, this is how we're raised. We're raised in front of the television or in front of your internet who's telling you, eat this beautiful 12-layer sandwich with cheese and meat.
Those things are good.
Yeah.
I won't talk about it, be about it. Because a lot of times we'll have people, oh my God, I want to look like you. Okay, well, if you do this, this, and that, you could be on your way. And, and that's the same thing with recovery or getting clean.
What lengths are you willing to go to?
What lengths are you willing to go to? And this comes back to the word discipline. Discipline equals freedom for us. The discipline to get up in the morning. If our schedules change for work, okay.